Did you think that only Saitama has the privilege of meeting Saiyans and other strong aliens? Well, he isn't. The same artist who made the epic showdown between him and Vegeta, which I recently made a video on that you guys loved, has Genos helping a hand against Cooler and his lackeys in this story. And in it, we start off with a bang, as Genos tells Dr. Kuseno that he fought a robot named Kaka that was strong. He's missing an arm and his face is cracked, so he needs repairs. Dr. Kuseno burned his hand, so he's not able to this time. However, he does know a wealthy family who can, and doesn't mention that they're a bit strange. It turns out to be Bulma who fixes him up, making him look like one of the ally androids. She used parts that she kept from Android 16, and that explains why it's so big and bulky, and unlike Genos' usual look. Bulma praises Dr. Kuseno's work on Genos and how he's a decent rival for their company. Genos basically doesn't react and leaves to do some training. Bulma follows him and they come across Jocko being Jocko, but he's actually there for a good reason. He warns them about Cooler, who of course is Frieza's older brother, being on the way. Jocko tells her to call the Saiyans back, but they're busy training with Whis and Beerus, so she can't. Not only that, but Jocko only gave them 30 minutes notice for Cooler's arrival. And it's not going to be a peaceful meeting, that's for sure. Genos insists on knowing about Cooler and his disaster level, which doesn't really match with the threats in the Dragon Ball universe. I guess you could consider the Dragon Ball characters even above God level, I suppose. But Genos barely got his body back together, so Bulma is against him facing Cooler. At least he has the foresight to give Jocko Saitama's address so he can let him know about the massive threat on the way. But they don't know about Saitama's power, nor how much Genos admires him. So they rub him the wrong way when they question his strength. While he heads to Cooler's landing spot, Bulma wonders how she can contact Whis to get Goku and Vegeta home quickly. Krillin also gets a call, preparing to join the fight. Meanwhile, Cooler's almost there, and Genos flies easier with Bulma's upgrades, and reaches the landing site in a flash. And moments later, he spots Cooler's ship preparing to land. Genos' cannons might work a bit differently, but he aims them ready to fire. The blast is as big as you'd expect, not even giving Cooler's ship a chance to touch down. The aircraft catches fire and swerves off, crashing into a pile. Genos is impressed with how easy it was. The three lackeys under Cooler's command fly out, uninjured but angered at the sudden attack. On his side, Cooler just floats ominously. Thankfully, Piccolo and Gohan arrive as backup next. Gohan greets Genos, wondering if he's a robot, and for good reason, honestly. And Gohan's not wearing the right outfit to fight. He's even got his glasses on. He must have come over in a hurry. When Genos hears someone else arrive, he assumes it's Saitama, but it's Tien, who also happens to be bald. And Roshi's there too, along with Krillin, with some senzu beans to pass out. It's the gathering of the Baldies. Cooler doesn't think much of this team and wants Goku instead, but Gohan lets him know that they aren't to be underestimated. Not that Cooler's lackeys are convinced, so one of them offers to take over. They hit a Power Ranger style pose, calling themselves the Armored Squadron. So Piccolo tells everyone to prepare. His first suggestion is that they split up to face them, and he transports away. He gets up close with one of them, named Dory, to hit him mid-flight. Gohan stays on the ground facing another lackey called Salza, and the bald lizard one named Knees goes for the fellow Baldies. Tien and Roshi, and Krillin, who shaved his hair off before arriving. Master Roshi takes on his muscle form, ready to show off his power, but the lackey just blows his blast away as if it's nothing. He also dodges Krillin's disc barrage, and Knees even drew his head in his suit like a turtle would. Tien tries out a Taioken on him next, and the bright flash is enough for them to finally get the upper hand for a moment. With the extra time, Tien creates doubles of himself and launches Kikoho, Doronpa, and Kamehameha. But when the smoke and debris clear, the turtle, Knees, is fine. Tien can't believe it. Even Genos is surprised. He's just been standing there with his arms crossed, by the way. Meanwhile, the captain tries hitting Gohan with quick slicing motion. He accuses Gohan of being a fake warrior since he keeps dodging. So Piccolo throws a sword for him to match the slicing technique. To be fair, should he just be taking the cuts from Salza? I don't get it. Gohan feels motivated with it though, and Piccolo adds a fighting outfit as extra. Finally, Gohan removes his glasses. He really wasn't taking it seriously before. That's when Piccolo gets sucker punched from the slight distraction, but it doesn't do much damage. Piccolo ignores it and asks how they and Cooler were revived with the Dragon Balls, and who made the wish. But Dory says that they weren't revived because they weren't dead to begin with, and just spent time recovering in the regeneration chambers. Knowing that even a chunk of flesh is enough to be revived, Piccolo can't help but laugh at him, and makes Dory want revenge even more. But Piccolo knocks the literal spit out of him, not letting that happen. He prepares an energy blast, wanting to end the fight, and he does just that. The one fighting Gohan notices that he's been taken down, causing Salza to lose his cool. But the sword battle's going better now that Gohan is armed. Just to prove that he doesn't need it because he's stronger anyway, Gohan drops the sword and uses his bare hands. Gohan grabs the lackey in a show of disrespect, schooling him on the fighters of Earth and how much they can increase their power in seconds. He moves so fast that Salza is left with his hand up in the air and he gets swatted next. With him crashing to his end, we jump to the Baldy fight. Knees is made aware of his comrades losing and it distracts him briefly. But as the only one left, he launches an attack on Tien and Krillin, with Roshi his next target for what looks like lightning. Roshi guards himself the best he can, but Genos ends up saving him in the end. He moves him out of the way next to the other two. Tien and Krillin finally take notice of Genos, and it's his time to shine. The lackey tries to read his power level, but he can't because of his cyborg body and the new suit. Genos intends to show what it means to be a fighter with real technique. Having fought so many times against threats that nearly destroyed him, this is his chance to prove that he's grown, and his speed alone shocks Knees. He launches the same electric attack at him, so Genos ejects his fist to counter. Then he reaches the enemy and pummels him some more, knocking him around and taking no breaks. Genos then prepares a blast from the detached arm like he did with their ship earlier. An inferno blast lights up the area, demolishing Knees at point-blank range. Genos' arm clicks back into place, and the three Baldies are shocked by how strong he is, while Piccolo's just glad they're done with that so they can move on to Cooler. With not a care in sight, he's doing one-finger push-ups and preparing for his turn to fight, but he's still not enthused since a Super Saiyan isn't around. Piccolo and Gohan land nearby, and Cooler explains that he might look like his brother, but he's not as lacking in training. For an entire year, Cooler's been leveling up, and it was because of how much the Saiyan race has advanced that he needed to match that level. In other words, he should be 3 times stronger than Frieza. Elsewhere, Bulma's trying to get Whis to bring them back by bribing him with food to try. Cooler doesn't really want to face them, but since they're there, he intends to test out his new skills. Piccolo removes his weighted clothes in preparation, and Gohan thinks that he should be training with that too. Instead of worrying, Gohan charges himself up, surprising Piccolo and Cooler with his growth. Just as he and Piccolo are fired up, Cooler appears behind the Namekian and stabs through him with his hand. Cooler explains that he's impressed by Gohan's change, and that if he can go Super Saiyan, he's a more suitable combatant, tossing Piccolo aside. But Piccolo lets his emotions get the better of him, and his wrist is grabbed and injured right away, with Cooler knocking him down with a fierce kick next. Gohan crashes to the ground like an explosion, near the still recovering Tien and Krillin. As he gets up from the fall, Cooler flies towards him, but gets intercepted by a flying fist. I bet you can guess who it belongs to. Genos draws it back to him after he's successful, with Cooler having to face a new opponent now. Genos doesn't waste any time and warns Cooler to stop or be stopped. At the same time, Jocko found Saitama's apartment as promised, but he was getting some groceries. And he tells him all about the Genos and Cooler situation. Saitama's intrigued when he hears that Cooler is a strong alien, reminding him of his fight with Boros. And, surprisingly, Jocko knows about Boros, so he's convinced that Saitama can lend a hand after all. But first, Saitama needs to change into his hero outfit and epic pose. Now, he can go. But before that, there's a bonus story called Nagoya's Special. King may not be trying to get the attention of anyone, but he certainly draws it towards him. In this case, it's no different, and Dr. Cochin spots him and invites him to meet Dr. Wheelo alongside some nasty Cybermen. He makes it seem like it's just a friendly invite, but threatens to attack the town if he doesn't come quietly. He tried to sneak off to the bathroom again like he did with G4, but was pulled away. Some men in the crowd saw it happen, assuming it was part of King's plan. Once brought to the doctor, King is even more scared than before. Not only that, but 3, frankly ugly warriors approach him in order to test his strength. It's never a good idea to lie on your resume, guys. Again, King tries his bathroom trick, but gets denied. And in case you're wondering, the 3 minions' names are parodies of the foods famous in Nagoya. The 3 monsters fly at him together, leaving King with tears in his eyes and expecting death. Thankfully, Saitama was in the area and saw King get taken away in Dr. Kochin's ship. He smashes the 3 warriors with one punch, leaving both doctors shocked at his strength. As Saitama explains how he found King, he finishes off the warriors, and Dr. Willow admits his true objective, finding a worthy body for his mind. He wrongly believes that he can just take Saitama's body by force, even after seeing that display of power. So, just as expected, Saitama destroys Dr. Willow when he tries to attack. Since we see blood and guts go flying, it's safe to assume that he's, dead. Dr. Kochin can't really do much but stare in shock. But that's when Saitama remembers that he had a sale to go to, and he's too late now. At least King is kind enough to buy him some snacks for the trouble that he went through, though. And that's pretty much it for this part of the story. If you like this fan comic, subscribe so you can get notified for the next chapter in another video. And also let me know in the comments what you thought about it. And if you liked it, please give it a like. Have a great day, guys. I'll see you in the next one.